What's up, Book Besties? Welcome to another episode of She's All Books, where we dive into the raddest reads that will totally blow your mind. Grab your favorite drink, kick back, and let's chat all things books. Because life's too short for boring stories. Ready? Let's get this book party started. Hey, Book Besties! Jordan here with a totally rad shopping alert that's all that. Remember making those perfectly curated mixtapes for your BFFs? Well, I've done the same thing, but with an amazing collection of bookish must-haves in my flagship shop. From aesthetic bookstagram props to cozy self-care essentials, I've personally selected everything your bookish heart desires. It's like having your own personal shopping bestie who just gets you. Ready to treat yourself or find the perfect gift for your fellow romance reader? Head over to flagship.shop/she'sallbooks. Because shopping for bookish goodies should be as fun as a literary sleepover. That's flagship.shop/she'sallbooks, where every purchase supports your girl in this podcast. Later, besties. Hey, Book Besties! Welcome to another literary sleepover where today we're doing something extra special. We're having our first ever author and narrator duo, and let me tell you, this episode is going to be as iconic as a 90s mixtape. Get ready to time travel back to corded phones and grunge rock because we're diving into Them Bones by A. Atkins, narrated by the incredible Jesse Elwyn. And trust me, this story is giving the 90s Romeo and Juliet vibes with a dash of murder mystery that will have you checking your caller ID. First up, I'd like to introduce guest number one on the show. If you're watching, you can see her in her Nirvana grunge 90s attire, and that is the A. Atkins, who's basically living a dream as accountant by day and author by night. I got this from your bio. After devouring over 70 novels in 2023, she decided to write a book of her dreams, blending 90s nostalgia, grunge music, and a romance that will have you staying up way past your bedtime. And our other guest joining us, Jesse Elwyn, whose journey from fan fiction narrator to award-winning audiobook performer is the kind of glow-up we all dream about. Her voice has been described as buttery smooth and intimate. And basically, she's the narrator equivalent of a warm hug or your favorite 90s comfort movie. Thank you both so much for joining me for this episode. I can't tell you how excited I am to talk all things the two of you narrating, writing, and Them Bones. So thank you so much for taking time and joining me today.
Having me.
Me too. This is so exciting.
I'm so excited. And before I dive in with the paper fortune teller and everything, can you guys tell me and tell the audience how the two of you came to be together for Them Bones and the audio recording of it?
Do you want me to take this one?
You do it, and I'll fill in any blanks if there are any.
I'm pretty sure, and I could be wrong about this part, but I'm pretty sure that there was a bit of a Canadian takeover on Threads, and that's how Jesse and I got connected. Our profiles, there was a 48-hour period on Threads where bookish Canadians were blowing up. And we got chit-chatting because she's the coolest. And I was like, I don't even know anything about audiobooks, but your voice is, so if I ever do an audiobook, get in touch with me, or I'll get in touch with you. And then she read my book and was like, I think we should just do it. And I think once you've heard Jesse's voice, you just kind of can't not do it. So I was like, sure, let's just dive right in. No idea what I'm doing, but let's go for it.
You were very I was like, wow, okay, this is going fast. But it was really, it was it was kind of, we were both kind of bumbling and being like, I don't know what we're doing on here. And you were like, I just want people to read my book. And I was like, I just want to narrate a book. And it was just what if? It was just I don't know. And then I had no idea what your book was like or what it was about. But I kind of got good vibes from the profile and and then I think it was another Human Voices Only thing or something where I just read the snippet of your book and posted it on Instagram, just as a fun little trial, I guess. And then a lot of people really liked that snippet, and we were I was blown away by the response because nothing that I had posted had gotten that kind of response before.
Me either.
Yeah. It was obviously just like a match.
Wow. It is such an amazing match. And I didn't realize both of you were in Canada. This is all starting to make a little bit of sense because the author who told me about this book is also a Canadian author. And I have to say, majority of authors who come on my podcast, I'm in the United States, but the majority of authors who have been on my podcast have been Canadian authors. So I'm just vibing.
Nice.
And the funny thing is, I just took off my sweatshirt, which was a Banff Canada sweatshirt. Now I'm feeling like I should have kept it on for this episode. That was a missed moment I had right then. But that is so cool how the two of you came to me, and it was just like by luck, like online. That is fascinating.
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, for those who are unfamiliar with Them Bones, I will give my personal testimony, and if you don't run and buy it immediately, I will be heartbroken. But the reason this book even was shared with me is because it is based in the 90s, and somebody, I think it was Hannah Brixton, was like, you need to read this and check this book out. And the narrator she has for this just won this big award for narrators, and you love to like listen to audiobooks. This has to be your next one. And I literally dropped everything I was doing for it. And I'm so glad I did because I was addicted immediately. And it's multiple point of views in this book. And it's done so well. And I remember going into the book not having a clue. I went in blind, completely blind, other than these. I went in totally blind. And it was just such a amazing book, and it makes sense. The multiple point of view makes sense once you get into it and you start to like really get far into the book, like towards the end of the book, and you're like, okay, this is why it's multiple points of view. There's a lot happening here. And I'm not going to do spoilers yet. If we talk spoilers, I'll throw up a sign later in the episode, or I'll make sure I announce it so that if you're watching, you can skip. But it all just worked out so perfectly. And I recommend to everybody to listen to this book. And I mean, you eyeball read it if you want, but listening to it is a whole different experience. All right. So before I just blab the whole time about how obsessed I am with Them Bones, and we will use these little paper fortune teller, but all the Canadian authors tell me they call this a cootie catcher. What did you guys call it?
Yeah.
Okay. So our friends up north call this a cootie catcher if you two are in the United States. So we can interchange this. But outside I have 4 colors. They are hard to see for the two of you for some reason until this is like published. So I'll just repeat it every time. And then you're going to get really sick of me spelling these colors, and it's just fine. My voice is not as beautiful as Jesse's voice. No one has ever described my voice as smooth or any of those things. Just describe Jesse's as. So I'll be spelling these a lot, and I'm sorry. So we'll go ahead and dive in. And the way we can do it, since there's 2 guests, is some of these questions are going to be pointedly like for one or the other of you. And then the ones that are for both, we can just take turns answering those and layer in when you want. It's all relaxed here, so we can just roll with it. All right. So I'm going to go down. Last little thing I'm going to throw in there for those who are catching up in the audience and watching or listening to this and you're not sure about the book and what we're talking about. I'm just going to give a couple little bullet points because it helps as you follow along. We have a female main character, Lainey Houghton, if I'm correct. I think it was Houghton. Yeah, Lainey. And then Shane is our male main character, Shane Mathers. And the way I would describe it is like a love story that's basically right person, catastrophically, I can't even say that word, wrong timing is the best way that I would describe it. Lots of 90s references in the 90s. And then a murder mystery that will rock your world. Set in 1997. It's gritty. I don't know. I love it. I love a book that includes imperfect characters. I always say like my favorite character is like the perfectly imperfect characters. And you nailed that. Like they're so relatable, so realistic. It's addictive. There's some review. I went online to like see what other people were reviewing and saying about it, and they called it addictive, heart-wrenching. And definitely if you start it, to clear your schedule because you will not want to stop it. Anyways, that's my little overview. Would you like to add anything else about them bones before we dive into the questions, either of you?
Well, my experience reading it was very similar, where I was just like, "Oh, okay, this is what this is." It's when I got back to Alex, I think I even said maybe like in my review, I was like, it sort of defies character categorization. It's romance, but it's not, and it's thriller, but it's not, and it's like nostalgia. He's like, I just couldn't put it in any one category. But
Right.
I find that those are the books that I gravitate to the most because they always surprise me, and I don't know, it was just I don't know what she put in it, but yeah.
I don't either. I was like, let's just write this book that is very difficult to market and categorize and doesn't fit into anything whatsoever that will help me with social media or Amazon.
Those are the best books. Those are the best. Yeah, my gosh, so good.
Yeah.
And I
It's
totally
kind of
missed an
groundbreaking.
opportunity to talk about it for Halloween. There's like a lot of Halloween theme in it, and I missed that opportunity.
I did too. I thought about that after, and I was like, there is a lot that happens on Halloween. Halloween is a big, like, pivotal, crunchy moment in 1997. Sort of one of the big, like, emotional kind of heartthrob moments. And it was like 2 days before Halloween. And I was like, I should totally sit down and do some content tomorrow. And then I absolutely did not, as per my usual no plan, no schedule, social media style.
So funny. Okay, well, we can start diving in and talk all things them bones. I'm like getting closer and closer to my computer because I just like feel like if I come through it, I can just be there with you. All right, orange, purple, green, or pink. Pink. All right, PINK, and we can go every other. 2, 3, 6, or 7. Would you say?
Is this me?
Sure.
Sorry, I was like, are we doing every other cootie catcher or are we doing every other
That's a good
flat?
question. Let's do the last duo I did. One would pick let's just do Alex, you would pick the number, and the next time Jesse picks the color and number.
Okay.
We just switch it up. So
Okay,
keep it fun.
number 6.
Question number 6. If I don't write down the question numbers you choose, I will just literally start asking you the same thing over and over again. All right. Alex, this one is for you. You mentioned reading 70 novels in your bio, not to me, but when I stalked you. In 2023, before writing your own, what was the moment that you realized them bones needed to be written?
Third person multi-POV is my favorite style, and it is deeply unpopular in romance. I can't actually recall any multi-POV novels that I have read in the last couple of years that were not from like much older times, like Black Dagger Brotherhood, like old stuff. So dual POV or single POV romance novels is pretty much it. Third person has really fallen out of favor. So the style that I really enjoy reading, I'll read anything, but the style that I love the most, where I feel like I get the biggest like worldview, is really hard to find in my favorite genre. So I was like crushing all of these romance novels, and they are amazing. They were so good. I read so many amazing books last year, and like I do love dual and I love first person, and I'm playing with some of that in some other projects too. So no shade to that, but I was just like, man, I would really love like more of a zoomed out scope of some kind of like really intense romance story. And I love the idea of like people outside the character's point of view and how they see the MCs. Because when you're in their, you know, the Shane and Lainey silo, or when you're in any main character silo, they just see each other. You don't necessarily see some of the imperfections from outside the sort of like bubble. So I started just kind of like playing around with it and was like, wouldn't it be cool? And maybe it would be this character and this character, or and then I basically was just like, maybe I should dabble and write a scene. And then I wrote a whole book. So
Wow. I will say, like, one of the things that's hard for me when I'm reading third person is I sometimes don't feel like I can get inside their head or like understand like what they're thinking, but not with your book. Like, it was very easy to like understand the characters and like feel what they're feeling, like even through that third person point of view. And I think that that's probably a me thing when I'm reading other books and stuff, but I just loved, like, I felt like I really knew them, like especially the two main characters. Like, I felt like I just like really could connect with them, even though it's like you said, like that wider scope of like a lens looking at them. And Jessie, I had a follow-up question for you from this one, and that is, what drew you to narrate this particular story?
So many things. The 90s bit, definitely. Also, even just the location. Like the 90s in Canada were just a little bit different from the 90s in the US, and just sort of that. There's just sort of like a grungy feel. I don't know. It was like just a vibe almost, where I was like, yes, I remember this time. And even though I was a very different teenager to the teenagers in the book, I still sort of felt like a kinship with them. And then with the third person narration, I think like it was just done so masterfully. Like, I think with third person, you have to really still, I think what people sometimes forget to do is kind of make the narrator still its own character. Like in this book, the narrator is still holding your hand all the way through, and you trust them implicitly. And so then you really get, like, I feel like an honest view of each of the characters, or at least like the characters are still coming through and their needs and wants and the ways that they're flawed. But like, I don't know, it just, something about it just felt very like contained, but also exciting. It was just, again, I'm not having trouble defining it, but I was like, this is the other thing that's really great, is that like so many POVs, right? Like you have like a chapter from like a teacher that maybe you don't hear from again, or you hear from like once more, and like a chapter from like the person who works in the coffee shop. And it wasn't that I have to sustain these character voices, right? Where I'm not having to like read, 2,000 words in this character's voice and then switch to that character's voice. It's like I can still use my narrator voice. And then for those bits of dialogue, like that's okay. So it wasn't like too crazy of an undertaking, because I could still do like the storyteller thing. And like the storytelling is kind of what it's all about. So yeah.
Yeah. I also, like, I can't put it into words either, like to explain the difference of this book compared to other third person books. But the best way I explain it to like my book club is like the fact that I was so obsessed with it, and I have a challenging time with most third person. Like that's the best testimony I can give. And that this book, like now that I finished it and like I can reflect on it, it had to be that way. Like in my mind, like there's no other way that this book could have been written to give you the same effect and to give you like all the big picture of everything. It had to be written and narrated like the way that it was. So that's my testimony. All right. Coming from the girl who is very scared of third person, I was not scared of this book. Okay. We will go to the next question. And Jessie, you get to pick the color this time.
Okay. What colors do we have again?
Oh, yeah. Pink, orange, green, or blue. Oh, nope. That's a lie. Pink, orange, green, or purple.
Okay.
That was my old one.
Green.
What'd you say?
Green.
Green. All right. Green. And we have 1, 8.
That's Alex, right?
5. I can't keep up either. Okay, 5. Question number 5. One of my favorite aspects of this book is the 90s grunge, and the 90s grunge aesthetic is so vivid in this book. Like, I am a visual person, and I could visualize everything that was going on. So this question's for both of you. Well, I have 2 questions in this for both, one for each of you. Alex, what was your playlist while writing? Did you have one? Did you listen to like 90s grunge music?
This is my favorite question. I'm so excited about this question. So the whole vibe, the entire like feel of this book was inspired 1000% by Alice in Chains, specifically Unplugged.
Okay.
So their MTV performance, I don't know if people remember that. Hopefully, if they're watching a 90s She's All Books nostalgia channel and watching a show about a 90s nostalgia theme book. But specifically, like I actually watched the MTV Unplugged Alice in Chains DVD. I have like the old school DVD twice a year.
Oh my God.
It's like how my husband and I fell in love. And it's like Alice in Chains is like the backbone of like a whole lot of things for me in my life. So definitely, I highly recommend like some popcorn and a glass of wine and sitting down and watching MTV Unplugged Alice in Chains. It's an outstanding performance. And it just kind of like encapsulated everything about what I wanted to put into my book. So that is like the quintessential like playlist for me is that album. So much so that I like named the book after an Alice in Chains song, and I did get like license to use their music lyrics in my book and in my audiobook. So those
Oh my
lyrics are
God,
not made up. Those lyrics are legit. And also for the
that is
Canadians,
amazing. That
there's
is
a
amazing.
Tragically Hip song in there too that's licensed. So Jessie got to
Yeah, that
do
got me.
Tragically Hip's lyrics.
Yeah.
That is amazing. And that I feel like that's a big feat, especially for your debut book to like be able to get that like licensing and everything. That's amazing. And here I am choosing the Backstreet Boys song to play on the back of my review for you that you mentioned during the Halloween party. Like I totally missed an opportunity there, but that's fabulous. That
That
is
was
so cool.
that was something that really impressed me about Alex because I saw the lyrics and I recognized the lyrics in the book and I kind of was like, just so you know, like some indie authors don't get permission and you can let it slide and people don't catch you, but like if it's going to be an audio, it's all the more reason like they can really nail you for this. And a lot of people decide to change it in the book because they don't want to pay the fees or they don't want to go through all the rigmarole. So whatever you want to do, I just kind of letting you know. And she was like, "Oh, I got it covered. I got the permission. Like I have it signed, sealed, and delivered." And I was like, "Okay." Like that was not
Wow.
the answer I was expecting. Again, for a debut book, I was like, "Wow, all right." So that was really cool.
That is so neat. Congratulations on that. I just imagine that's such a feat. I had another question follow up for you, Jesse, and that is, did you have to like do anything in your preparation for narrating this book to like capture that nice grunge vibe, or did that just like kind of come naturally to you?
A lot of it was familiar to me. For every book that I narrate, most narrators do this, almost all of them really. You read it a couple times first before you get in the booth. So I usually do a speed read just so I get the overall plot, and then I do a prep read where I'm like highlighting and making notes and like, oh yeah, this character comes back later and they sound like this or that kind of thing. So that's sort of something I do for every book. And then yeah, the projects that are the most fun for me are the ones that just sort of feel natural. So I was like, yeah, I remember the way that song sounds. And like I remember that pop culture reference. And so I can kind of like do the voice of the thing that they're mentioning or whatever. So other than except that there were just so many characters. So like for instance, the character of Jerry, I was like, how am I gonna distinguish him from all the other guys in the
Right.
garage or whatever? Like I had to kind of figure that out. But yeah, overall, I guess that was how it went.
That is so
Sorry, there
neat.
were so many.
I was like, this guy's a little bit lower, this guy. And like the other thing in audiobook narration is that like some people think you need a very distinct voice for every single character. And some authors prefer that and some listeners prefer that. And other authors and listeners are the exact opposite. They're like, I just want like a vague representation, like, your storytelling, you're not acting out of play. So it really does vary and each narrator kind of has their sweet spot of what they like to do. So I do like to kind of like pick up a couple of vocal cues and like maybe this person talks a little bit faster and maybe this person like drops some consonants at the end of their words or whatever, but I'm not usually going like all the way out there. So it's always kind of a delicate thing to figure it out, but it turned out well in the end.
Yes. Oh my gosh, so good. It was amazing. And at the end, especially of the book, there's a bunch of different voices, even more voices that you had to do for those. So that was really cool to listen to. And the visual learner, but also visual person and reader that I am, appreciated like all all of the work that the two of you put into it because it was like listening to a movie, but like I could see it. Like I don't know, it was beautiful. All right.
Well, and like your newscaster voice was so cool
That was
because
really fun.
Jordan, I know you didn't read the paperback, but in the paperback, they're actually like physical newspaper articles and coroner's reports. So they're not just like text on a page. So I was like, I don't know how this is going to translate in audio because in my book, they're like kind of like it's a found document vibe. So I actually like had like newspaper clippings made with like photos in them and stuff like that.
Oh my
So
goodness.
I was like, I have no idea how she's going to do that in audio. I have all the faith, but like, I was like, I have no idea. And then you sent me the clip of the newspaper article and I could almost hear the like, dun, 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 like newscast in the background. It was so good. I was just like, this was the best decision ever to hire you.
It was really
That
fun.
is
I liked that challenge.
So cool. I've been like stalking you for you to say that you're going to be selling signed copies so I can buy a signed copy. So that has been like my thing because I'm going to get a copy of this book, whether it's signed or not. I will be buying one. But I was like really hoping you'd open up like signed copies. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. So yes, I have to have a trophy of this book. All right. So who's now picking the color? I think. Are we back to Alex picking the color? Pink, green, orange, or purple?
Let's do orange.
Orange. All right, just like the book. There's a lot of orange on the cover of the book. ORANGE. And we have 2, 3, 6, or 7.
Let's do 3.
Wait, what one did you say?
3?
Perfect. Yeah, because I forgot to say we already did 6. You probably remember things better than me. Okay, 3. Question number 3 is a character deep dive. Alex, Lainey, and Shane's Banter is getting a lot of reviews in the like on Goodreads and stuff. People mention their banter, their conversations, and I love good banter and dialogue in a book. So I want to know how you crafted their dynamic.
I don't know. The two of them are just such vivid characters in my head. Like the opening scene at that plaza in the bakery was the very first thing I ever had in my head. And I kind of was like chuckling to myself about, a meet cute where it's really not so cute. And it kind of just sort of built out from there. It was like, it all revolved around that meet cute moment of like a really horrible, not good thing with people in not good circumstances being uncharacteristically flippant and like having really inappropriate humor about it. And that kind of, I guess, just carried through the rest of the book. Dustin is like a lot harder because he doesn't really say much in the first place. And some of my other characters are really not pleasant people. I needed them to be lighthearted and funny to give the readers a break, and also as a writer to give myself a break sometimes from like the intensity there. So
I love it. And there's a lot of angst. Like it's thick with angst between Lainey and Shane. And even that, like the way it was written and everything was just you could feel it when you were reading it, for sure.
Yeah, like the scene in the kitchen, where it's like really, I think anyways, it's like pretty heavy tension where you're kind of like starting to get a picture of these people's lives and also really like feeling like there's some pretty intense vibes happening here, the kind where you're like, I'm going to back away, but they're like flinging Fruit Loops at each other and like cracking jokes, right? So I was trying to balance things a little bit. And also like the characters start young. So like they wouldn't necessarily have the emotional maturity to have a conversation about what happened. They were just being sort of snotty, like snarky little teenagers towards each other.
It was perfect. Jesse, you already kind of touched on it, but how did you approach like the voicing those back and forths and like having to like, like I think some of there was a review that mentioned arguing like an old married couple, I think is what I don't want to misquote a review, but along those lines, like how were you able to like approach voicing those scenes?
Those are really fun. And sometimes I will make a note, but otherwise I just kind of like get in the zone. Like our other narrators kind of make jokes or like, oh, like part of my job is flirting with myself or like fighting with myself, where it's like you just kind of get there. The good dialogue helps by leaps and bounds. Like sometimes, we try to elevate material that's not the best, but other times we get really great material and it just feels like it all comes together. So when the banter is really good, like if it's good on the page, then it's a lot easier to make it good in audio. And then you kind of, you get into the rhythm of it. And like this comeback is going to sound like super snappy. And this one's going to be like a little aside. And like, it's just kind of something that you get a feel for.
That's awesome. And I think that like your style of narrating, and this is going to really show how little I know about narrating. I'm like totally out myself right now with like how I'm about to describe this. Sometimes you listen to a narrator in my experience, and they might sound like a little, I'm gonna use the word like stuffy, like it's just a very formal voice. Not that your voice is not formal. Your voice is just so like easy to listen to and just very not casual, like that's not the right way to describe it, but the way I described it at the beginning of the episode, just like very smooth, very buttery, like and it matched these characters in that way, where it's like, these aren't characters who you want to be like super formal and like make your voice sound, I don't know, like there's ways I'm sure you can make your voice sound very, I don't know, preppy,
like
and things like
enunciated
that.
or
This is
whatever.
just very like relatable, easy to listen to, totally match the vibe. I've got to listen to some of the other books that you've narrated so I can deep dive into your narrations, but anyways, it was such a perfect match.
Yeah.
Jessie recently, for like Human Voices Only, recently did a short clip from the next book, just as like a treat for me, which was super exciting. And the amount of messages I got from people being like, I can't wait to listen to Jessie again. This is so exciting. And I was like, well, I mean, you want to read the book too,
Yeah,
right? And they were
right.
like,
I do.
the audio.
Yeah.
That is like so exciting that you're going to be narrating the second book. That
Yes.
is very exciting.
I mean, it's gonna happen when it's gonna happen, and we're not gonna I'm not gonna pressure Alex because I know she's getting pressure from all of her readers, like rightfully so. But yeah, it's gonna be great.
I was like worried about that. I was stressing at one point about pressure from readers because I know that happens. The readers that have like that I at least that I regularly interact with on social media who have read the book and like communicate with me or follow me have been so wonderfully kind. They're all just like, we really want it, but please take your time. But we really want it, but like legitimately, if it's in 5 years, I will wait. But like, we really want it. So it's been nice because it kind of took that like edge off a little bit of like, when it's ready, it's going to be ready. And yes, 1000%, there will be a second audiobook and it will be Jessie. So when it arrives, it will be awesome. And people have been like super, super kind, which is nice because like sometimes in the author spaces, like it can be a little rough out there on social media, but the girlies who have been following me are like the absolute best.
I'd say positive. Leave negative comments to yourself. I am going to read the physical copy through, and then I feel like my plan is then to re-listen again to the audio copy before whenever you announce book 2 is coming out, and then I'm just going to be so ready. Like I'm going to be in every format of reading. I'm going to be ready for this. All right, next question, Jessie. You get to pick the color: pink, green, purple, or orange.
Have we done purple?
Nope.
Okay, let's do that.
Purple. All right. PURPLE. And the only ones we're left with in this cluster is questions 2 or 7.
All right.
Let's do 2.
2. All right. I dropped my pen. Question 2. All right. Oh, question 2 is a Never Have I Ever edition question.
Nice.
And you guys say Never Have I Ever? Like, okay, I'm like, that was in Canada, right?
Yeah, that translated.
So you're watching, listening, maybe you're not a millennial and you don't know what we're talking about. Never Have I Ever, you play with like your fingers up. We'll start with 5 fingers and then I'll read a statement. And if you have done the statement, you would put a finger down. And the goal is that you're one of the last people standing with fingers up. And if you're out, that means all your fingers went down. Usually you're playing this with a bunch of friends and you can say like pointed statements that you know that they've done that you haven't done to get them knocked out. But we are going to go the 90s route, and I know nothing about the two of you in the 90s. So will you guys indulge me in a round of Never Have I Ever?
For sure.
All right. Hands up, fingers up. This is where I really slack. So I will try my best to narrate, which is embarrassing next to Jessie. And I will, for people who are listening to this episode and not watching, I will try to let you know whose fingers go down and when. All right, because we do not need you trying to watch if you are driving your car. Okay, so this edition, what was that?
I'm so sorry. Quick question.
Yeah.
Do I put it down if I have not done it?
No, if you've done it.
If you have done it.
Okay.
Yeah. If you have done the thing, the statement, then you put a finger down. If you've never done it, you can leave your finger up. Never have I ever had a dramatic AIM away message. AOL instant message. I'm sure I did. I'm going to put a finger down. I couldn't tell you what it was. Did you guys have AOL instant messenger?
Yes. In university for me, which might be aging me.
Got it.
But yeah.
Yes. Okay. Never have I ever recorded songs off the radio onto a cassette.
Yeah, that's it down. Yeah.
Would take a back before like you could record on the same radio, like with the cassette. I would take 2 radios, put them in front of so I pirating music at a very young age. Okay. Never I have this one, I don't even know if they were in Canada, but you're about to tell me. Never have I ever owned a pair of Jinko jeans. They were like really popular.
I wanted them so badly. I saw them in all the 17 magazines, but they did not have them in the stores near me.
And I didn't own any either, but they were very popular. I remember very specifically. Okay, so they were in Canada as well. Never have I ever prank called someone's house phone and hung up.
Yeah.
Never have I ever had a do-it-yourself grunge band.
It was not that cool.
Inclined, so that was not. Never have I ever hung up posters from the inside of a teen magazine.
So many.
I'm now thinking about the haircuts that were on my wall.
All those, so many mushroom cuts.
Right?
Oh my gosh, the worst. My son went through a phase where like he would not let me cut his hair, and I would have to do it in his sleep. Like literally while he was sleeping, I was like in there with a flashlight cutting his hair. And our Santa pictures from last year, he looks like he has a bowl cut or a mushroom cut, but it was just because of how I had to like cut it while he was down.
Nice.
And I'm like, oh my gosh! Every time I look at the picture, I'm like, you look so nice. It was such
It's coming back.
I had some character art done, and Shane has like a very Backstreet Boys looking haircut in one of them, which the character artist was like so excited about. And I was so afraid I was going to get so much hate. And I was like, I know he's supposed to be like super hot, but you've got to remember the times, people.
Wait, is this for sale? Do you sell your character art?
I actually did like a big, don't have any for sale. I did like a big free promo where anybody who had bought the paperback or the audiobook, I just mailed it to everybody.
All the good things. The algorithm hates me. I'm telling you, algorithm is out to get me, but good to know. I'm going to turn like an alert on for your page or something. Bummer. Okay. Never have I ever, what does this one say? Stayed out till the street lights came on. That was like really tough. I'm out. I lost, but I'm going to keep going and see which one of you gets out next. Never have I ever, I lost it. Never have I ever snuck into a PG-13 movie. I don't know where this one came from.
I think we just...
Jesse, you won!
I guess, yeah.
I see, and once again, I did a horrible job at narrating whose fingers went down. I knew I was going to do that, but Jesse's our winner. She was the last one with a finger up, and we have a lot of things in common. That was fun. Thank you for indulging me in a round of Never Have. Appreciate it. All right. I think Jesse's next for the color. I might be wrong. Okay. Or did you just do it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's Alex.
Alex. Okay. Purple, pink, green, or orange?
Let's do green.
Green. All right. GREEN. 2, 3, 6, 4, 7, but really only 7. Would you like to answer question 7?
7 sounds good.
All right. Question 7. All right. So Alex, all my questions have a part for each of you. Alex, you have listed in your bio what I mentioned earlier, that you are an accountant by day and an author by night, which is for me like hard to wrap my mind around because one feels very analytical and the other feels very like arts and just, I don't know, different ends of the spectrum. How does your analytical mind influence your writing? If at all. Maybe not at all. Maybe it doesn't impact it.
Oh gosh. I'm not sure. I think with this particular book, it was helpful because there are so many pieces and components to the multi-POV structure and how it all builds up to this one sort of pivotal point in 1999. So it kind of felt a little bit like an accounting roadmap where I'm like, I've got all of these pieces and all of these people and all of these sometimes one-off snippets that all kind of converge at one point. So it was helpful to like keep track of the volume of characters that sort of like peek in and out of the story, and make sure that all the puzzle pieces kind of fit together at the end and that everything had been accounted for. Other than that, I would say, honestly, I have no idea. I use very different like processes for both things. With accounting, I'm a lot more organized and methodical. And with my writing, it's chaos, like full pantser. I've never written a plot note in my life. I have no plan. Same with my social media. People are like, what's your social media schedule? I'm like, what schedule? I don't know. Like, so just like basically totally opposite components of my personality for the most part. But I do think that the like the multi POVs and making sure everybody was accounted for and everybody who had something to say that mattered all showed up at the right spot. That was like the big piece that felt very like some of the skills that I use for accounting for sure.
That would be very hard for somebody like me to keep track of. I can't even keep track of what numbers you guys have chosen on the paper fortune teller, but I'm glad you can do that because as a reader, I appreciate you tracking all of this. Jesse, I feel like I read when I was stalking the two of you that you narrated fan fiction first. Is that true? Okay.
Yes,
just making sure I'm getting my facts right before I spread rumors. So coming from the fan fiction narration, how did that experience, like narrating fan fiction, help prepare you to bring such complex characters to life? Because these are very complex characters.
Yes. Okay. So yeah, I love fan fiction, and it's just one of those things that kind of like grabbed me in a chokehold in like 2018 or something. And I discovered that people did audiobooks, basically a fan fiction, as long as they got the author's permission, and then they posted it, and then other people would listen and just be happy to have any sort of audio version of their favorite fan fictions, which is like a huge community. And eventually I got pretty ambitious. I think the longest one I've ever narrated, fanfiction wise, is like over 20 hours. And I would just update it once a week. And I kind of built an audience there. And that one also had a ton of different characters. And I was also kind of pantsing it because like a character would show up and be like, oh, I guess I'm reading them this way because like I had read it, years ago because it was one of my favorite stories. And I was like, oh, I forgot that person showed up. Shit. It was like one of those things. And then people would say like, oh, like, do you do this as a job? And I'd be like, no, but maybe I should because this is really fun. So, and actually the funny thing that I've been thinking about is fan fiction, at least until recently, hardly any of it is written in first person. It's almost all third person. And then the long one that I read, people were like, I never read first person fan fiction. I can't get into it. And that one happened to be like one of the only first person fics in the fandom. And it was 20 hours long. So it's just interesting that I tend to always go for the things that are like a little bit off the beaten track. But yeah, something just draws me in. I think it's just like complex characterization and like a story that you truly can't predict. Like those are the things that really get to me no matter what the genre.
Can you share with the audience? I know we talked briefly about it before recording, but can you share with them about the competition that you were in?
Right.
When it was, like, I can't remember the timeline of this. I know it wasn't like crazy long ago. This was semi-recent, right?
Yeah.
That you won. Yeah. Can you tell them about that?
So it was a competition for new narrators, specifically romance narrators, called The Next Dark Star. And it started on TikTok and I think they also started posting on Instagram as well. It's a production company and you sort of like submitted, it's kind of like, like American Idol style, where people would put up their first video and be like, choose me, choose me. And then they chose, I think, 6 contestants from all the submissions on TikTok and then put them through different challenges and people would vote. The way that voting worked was you could vote for, I think, like a certain number of favorites each time. And then the judges could also choose to like save someone, but they didn't say who it was. So you're always kind of wondering, like, was I the one that they saved? Like, does somebody really like me? Like, and then, yeah, it got down to like a challenge where there was just 5 of us and they had some like an author, JT Geisinger, come and choose and like a bunch of other like narrators that have worked in the business kind of helped along the way and did different challenges and stuff. So yeah, it was me and Ethan Gray, who I've done actually a couple books with, a couple of novellas. We won the 2. Yeah, it was fun. It was a crazy time. And then that was about the same time that like Alex blowing up. And
that is awesome.
Yeah.
Do you record on TikTok? Like, do you post TikToks of you reading or narrating?
I try. I kind of went to TikTok kicking and screaming because everyone was talking about how it was the next big way to get work, like doing a lot of live narration and just like putting yourself out there. Like it was just how people were finding authors because book talk is huge. So I was like, okay, I guess I'll try it. And then this competition came along and I was like, well, I guess I better start posting like in earnest now because I want people to like know who I am and want to vote for me. So that did help me, but it's not something I gravitate to, posting my face all the time, or even like I've done a couple of live narrating sessions, and they can be fun, but other times I'm just kind of like, I just want to like do my little introvert thing and hope people like me.
That is awesome. That is
And I
so
found my
cool.
favorite author through Threads, so who cares?
I'm the same. Like, I'm not on any social media personally or professionally except for Instagram. So, like, I don't have TikTok. I do have Threads, but like, I don't post. This is my first ever kind of like interview or like live anything. So, and I don't post a lot of my face on my social media either. I think I have it.
Yeah, I saw it on your website. I was like, okay, like I'm not hopefully making her go uncomfortable by being on this.
No, I think Jesse and I have a similar vibe though. Like, we both kind of just want to like, I just want to like write the book and then be like, buy my book. It's
Trust me,
really
it's
hard
great.
to do the marketing
Yeah.
stuff sometimes, but it was amazing watching the Dark Star stuff happening. That was really exciting for me because you're a Canadian audiobook narrator who is like the best narrator ever. So I was like, people are voting for her. This is amazing. But also selfishly, my audiobook was dropping right around then. So the timing of that could not have been better. Because like I went like a little bit mini viral. An influencer picked up my book and I was like getting a lot of traction. And then Jesse won Dark Star. And then my audiobook dropped all within like a 10-day period. So July was really fun.
It was.
That is so cool. You know, the algorithms like on TikTok versus Meta, like I mean, it all is so complicated, and I feel like you have to just be like a favorite to be able to get your stuff like to really like take off and blow up. And so I can't imagine marketing a book, and I can't imagine marketing my narrating services. I feel like it would be definitely challenging for sure. I'm not a marketing person, so it would be really hard for me.
I would say the best advice I got was like, if it's not you, don't feel like you have to do it, because some people love it and they've done really well for themselves, but it's also just because that's just who they are.
Right.
They're like, yeah, I go on a live every day from like 9 to 2 and it energizes me and I feel like inspired, and it's just like that's not typically what happens to me, and my time could probably be better spent doing something else.
Right.
Maybe I'm sending out emails or like different kind of reach outs, or maybe I'm, polishing up my samples or doing a slew of auditions. Like there's a bunch of different ways to succeed in writing and narrating, and you just have to find what works for you. And sometimes things are painful, but like the whole thing shouldn't be painful.
Yeah, I think I can relate to that. I feel like if you're happy and you're doing what you want to be doing, that shows too, like to the audience, and it feels more natural. It feels more enjoyable to watch and to experience. So that's great advice. All right, I've already forgotten who's next. I think it's Jessie picking the color this time. Purple, pink, green, or orange?
Orange?
Orange. All right. RANG. 1, 4, 5, or 1, 4, or 8. We already did 5. Right. Question number 4. Another throwback nostalgic game. I know you're shocked. And this one is Would You Rather? So I'm going to not be participating in the answering part. I'm going to be asking the two of you, would you rathers? So I'll read the statement and you each will get to tell me what you would choose of the two. So are you up for it?
I'm down. I keep nodding, but I'm like, oh, people can't see me.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I have my emotional support hot chocolate. I am prepared.
I love it. All right. Would you rather write/narrate, depending on who you are, in complete silence or with background noise?
Well, for me, that's easy.
You have to do silence.
I have to do silence.
What about when you're prepping? Do you like to have like music in the background, or are you like a focus and silence person?
For me, because I'm hiding away in my booth so often, like and away from like my family and like the outside world, then when I'm prepping, I try not to do that. So I'll be a little bit more accessible to my partner and my children, and like do the prepping on an iPad on the couch or something, and then just sort of remember what it's like to be part of society. So yeah.
What about you, Alex?
It's kind of ironic because music is like really is the foundation of the whole book for me. And music is a really big part of my life. My husband was a musician. And so it's like an enormous component of my day is enjoying music, but I write in silence. I can't, I don't like having a lot going on with me. I've tried like the Starbucks thing. And sometimes if I'm stuck, more so with like the short story stuff that I do, if I'm stuck, then like chaos and busyness can be helpful to like get me started. But then as soon as I get an idea or I get thinking, I like close my laptop, pack up and go home and write in complete silence. Like,
Fascinating. I thought that you would for sure say music, so I love when I'm proven wrong. The next one. Would you rather know the ending before starting the book or discover it as you go?
Yeah, I'll probably still discover it as I go.
What about you, Alex?
I did not know how my book was going to end. So even as a writer, I never have any idea
You
until
discovered
like,
it as you went. Yeah.
yeah, like literally I was like, I do not know who dies. I do not know what is happening right now.
Wow.
Until we sort of, it all came together. There's like a newspaper article that drops midway through the book that has like a pretty big like reveal of something. I didn't know that until I wrote it. I was like, oh no.
So you like are literally pantsing and like letting the characters totally take over like and have their own life. Like and you're just following along.
100%. And then I'm the same as a reader though. Like sometimes I'll read like a blurb. But never more than that. Like I don't check authors' social medias, I don't check tropes, I don't check reviews or spoilers. I just like, I'm like, this cover's cool.
Yes.
This blurb seems great. Let's go.
Same. That is how I am.
Nice.
Yeah.
Like it could literally be you post a picture of the cover and then you pick a song I happen to like. And I'm like, and I'm reading that book. Like I have no idea what it's about. I'm reading that book. Yeah. I like to go in as blind as possible. It's always fun that way. All right. Would you rather have unlimited time? Wait, I'm reading
That sounds
something.
good.
I'm mixing it up.
No, I'm like, yes, that one.
Unlimited time, yeah. It was unlimited time but basic tools or unlimited time but top tier equipment. I don't know if that means writing and narrating equipment. I'm not sure.
What was the second option?
Limited
Right,
time
okay.
but top tier equipment.
Yeah, for me it's unlimited time for sure. I feel like a lot of narrators, they start thinking they need like the high-end microphone and like all of the like fancy stuff, but it's still all about the storytelling and the acting. And if I have all the time in the world to get that right and like really dive into the book, then that's better for me.
Yeah. That's also good advice for people who are starting off, like even like with podcasting and stuff. Like it doesn't have to be like the most expensive equipment.
Yeah.
Would you rather be able to only write or narrate romance only, or would you rather be able to write or narrate every genre except romance if you had to pick one?
Oh, that's mean. That is a
Especially
mean
considering
question for me.
Especially considering what you shared earlier, I'm like, that's going to be a hard one to answer.
That is really difficult because I'm really into flash fiction and I write a lot of short stories with a more literary flair. Like I have a lot of friends who are into literary fiction and like the lit fic circuit, lit mags, that kind of publication. And I like a lot of Slipstream, which is like super weird, like oddball sci-fi-ish kind of stuff that is nothing to do with romance. And that's like where my heart is. Like I would love to write like a romance sci-fi genre straddler someday. That would be like my Everest. I would probably give up the romance for everything else, but I feel like I would try and find a way to sneak it in somehow.
And you probably could.
Yeah. I think like I would be the same. I would probably give up romance. But I think that like romance as a genre can be kind of like looked down on and stuff. And I think it's because people don't recognize that the stuff that they love in romance is in other books, right? Like the relationships and the characterizations and the like all of that stuff. Like there's certainly something special about romance. But I think I could probably find a way to like scratch that itch in other genres. It would just be I'd have to be more picky.
And if you were to ask me this question about reading, I still think I would choose romance because you can get a lot of other genres in romance too. Like you could get like the thriller, you can get some of the dark.
True.
I don't know. I can totally see how that would be hard for the two of you, for sure. All right, that was the last one of the Would You Rathers. So thanks for indulging me in that. Green, orange, pink, or purple?
Let's do pink.
Pink. All right. PINK. And we have one. I think I just messed up. Did we already do 4? I think we just did 4.
I think so. I think we might have
Yeah,
done all the
so
ones
we're
on
at
that one.
1 or 8.
8 sounds new. We'll go with 8.
8. The murder mystery elements are getting a lot of praise also in reviews. Alex, how did you balance the romance and the mystery?
I do really enjoy reading thrillers. So I wanted to bring a component of that. Like, I'm a chronic genre straddler. I love anything that mixes and matches genres. That's, I think, part of why I love flash fiction so much. So I was just basically trying to sneak elements of all the things I love into a book, really, that I was writing for myself. Like, I never planned to publish this ever in a million years. I don't have social media, so I didn't know anything about Bookstagram or Book Talk. I didn't know people self-published. I didn't know any of that. So I was really just choosing all of the little bits and pieces and snippets of things that I love, including thrillers. And I love mysteries. I read a book years ago called Night Film by Marisha Pessel, and it had found documents in it. So it had like snippets of a website and snippets of a newspaper article. And that really inspired that whole like component of my novel and that vibe. So I was just really like drawing from all my favorite things to write the kind of story that I really, really wanted to read. And then when it was done, I shared it with a friend who was like, you should probably try and sell it. And here we are. But I think I didn't have any like purposeful intention of being like, let's make it this or let's make it that. I was just like, I love mystery. I love found documents. I love romance. I love angst, so much angst, all the angst.
All the eggs. Yeah.
So let's just like put it in a pot and see what happens.
That is amazing. And Jessie, how do you maintain that tension and narration without like giving away, like overly doing it, I guess? Like, how do you maintain that?
Yeah, so it's true because sometimes you can fall into the trap of like doing like the mystery voice or like the thriller voice where it's like, and then he walked around the corner. And it's like, oh, I wonder what's coming. Like probably a big but I think I don't know if I intentionally balanced it or not. I think just the switching back and forth in the text itself like helped. And then just I think it's still sort of the character drivenness of it made it less like of a okay, now here's like the gotcha moment or like here's the big reveal. It was just kind of like, oh shit, like Shane's in trouble. Like you just kind of feel it. So yeah, that's kind of I guess my like non-answer.
I love it.
I think like when you said that you like switch, that was like a big part of it for me too when I was writing it, because like it's easier to like visually see it in the novel, but the POV flips as you build up to like the crux of the mystery reveal get really short. So they're like paragraph, next POV, paragraph, next POV, paragraph. So I think like there was kind of, that's where it like differs a little bit from thriller, where you're trying to keep a consistent build from one perspective and maybe one switch where you have this like climax. And for the people who like aren't watching this, I'm making ridiculous hand gestures right now, but
it looks like a mountain. I would describe it.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like a consistent build. Whereas like for me, I was trying to build tension with more of like a jarring, like now it's Dustin, now it's Jerry, now it's Shane, now it's Lainey, now it's this person, now it's that person. And everybody is at a different point in the problem. So some people are just chilling, have no idea what's going on. Some people are right in the middle of some really like intense shit. So it kind of like didn't have that traditional thriller like build. It was more like pieces. It was like all pieced together.
Okay, and if you want to talk about accounting, there was like 100 and something chapters. And none of them were numbered in my script. And some of them were like 2 minutes long. And I was like, Alex, I love this book, but the chapters are killing me. Like, I don't remember where this go. Like, it was just like, it was a feat. Like, when I finally had that zip file, I was like, oh God, it was a challenge.
I'm so sorry. The things you learn afterwards, I was like,
I know.
Even writing it or like trying to go back to edit something, I was like, which one of the 74 chapters titled Shane is this?
Yes.
How hard that would be. As a reader, it was fun to like listen to, especially those short, quick chapters and like listening to go through those, but I never thought about how that would be like editing and like having to figure out exactly which chapter it would be and like the table of contents. That's hysterical.
Jessie is a saint is the moral of the story.
It was
That
worth
is
it. We did it.
hysterical. And you'll do it again for book 2. So that just shows you. For fun and game, just to entertain me, can we do one last round of paper fortune tell, even though we know that it has to be question number 1?
Yes.
All right. Purple. Let's see if we can get to it without fudging. Purple, pink, green, or orange?
We'll go with purple again.
Purple. All right. PURPLE. And we did it. Would you like to answer question number 1?
Yes.
Number 1 is about Jerry, who is a fan favorite in this book. Jerry, everyone needs a Jerry. So, Alex, what inspired Jerry's character?
I mean, they really needed somebody. Like, I put those poor characters through the ringer. I bled on the page for those characters, and I needed to give them someone.
They did. They needed him.
I think especially for Shane.
That's what I was thinking. He for sure needed Jerry.
Yeah, he really needed somebody, and they're like Shane's a really complicated character. You don't actually, I mention this sometimes to people and they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're right." I don't give you any information about him whatsoever. You have no backstory. You don't know anything about him. He just showed up and he tells you nothing. He tells Lainey nothing. He tells me as the writer nothing. It's why I'm suffering so much with the second book. So he would never have vibed with like a traditional, like wholesome parental figure. That just would never have worked. It would never have happened. Jerry is a deeply flawed human being who makes a lot of mistakes, but what he gives those kids comes from the heart. And that's the only reason I think why it worked. Like I needed to give them someone, but I could not give them somebody who was going to come in there with wonderful, beautiful intentions and just be like a perfect, beautiful human. Jerry kind of showed up and was like a hot mess as well, but doing his very best, and he loves those kids. So that was kind of what I was trying to give them. Like especially Shane. I'm sorry, Shane.
Most definitely for Shane, because like I remember towards the beginning of the book when Shane stopped staying at the house with, oh my gosh, this is what happens when I get late at night. With Alex, because they're the ones who kind of like were buddied and friends. And when he essentially has to move out because like this dad/mom's old boyfriend, like I have such a bad time at describing what and what is his name again? We don't like him.
Do you mean Lainey's brother?
Yes. No.
Lainey's brother, Carrie.
The older one. Yeah. So yeah, Carrie.
Yeah, the older brother.
Why, when I was listening to it, did I think I did not realize he was her brother? Brother, like full. Yes. Sorry, with the sorry, I'm totally like fixing up her mom and okay, sorry. So yes, this is me. I'm gonna cut that part out because it's late at night and I'm getting all sorts of confused. Yes, because he was the one who was like Carrie was the one who would deal and stuff. Right. And he was very not good. And then when he came back and he's very protective over Lainey, and that's when Shane goes to stay with Jerry.
Yeah.
Yes. This shows you I need to like hurry up and reread it again. There's a lot of characters and it's been like 2 months for me. Okay. So anyways, Jerry was really important for Shane. I would say the most important for Shane, but also looked over Lainey and Alex, especially when Carrie was like not in the picture. He talks about how he would like watch over the kids and stuff. My question for you to that end, Jessie, is what was your favorite Jerry scene to narrate? And if you don't have a favorite Jerry scene to narrate, do you have a favorite scene of Them Bones to narrate?
I don't know if I can pick a certain scene, but I just loved Jerry's like pearls of wisdom. He's like, I don't know how much you're allowed to swear on this podcast.
You can. I
fine.
have to make all of them explicit, so you're free to do whatever you
Okay,
want.
all right. When he's just like, I forget when he's just like, you have to like fuck or fight or something like that, and he's like, I don't know, just like it's like you're right, Jerry. Like I don't know.
Yeah. And he totally could spot too Shane's angst with Lainey, and like he was able to like call it out pretty quickly.
Yes.
Like,
yes, in a way that like Shane would listen, even if he was like really mad, or like Jerry kind of did that thing where it was like sometimes comic relief, but then sometimes like super like insightful and
Yes.
yeah, and also very flawed where you're just like, come on, Jerry. But yeah, he was a really great character to narrate. Probably couldn't pick like one particular scene. And as far as the scene for the whole book, that's also really tough. I can't really think of one off the cuff because I don't know, I'd probably get them mixed up at this point.
I
Where it's
know.
I
just like,
can, if I
I
can
just
answer.
got it mixed up. It's been 2 months for me. That just tells you like how quickly I need to reread things. What's your favorite?
My favorite scene that Jessie narrated also happens to be like low key one of my favorite scenes of the book, if not my favorite scene of the book. And it is the scene with Jerry and Carrie at Jerry's house after Dustin's art exhibition. Dustin's passed out in the car. Carrie's sitting on the porch in the dark. And they have like a very tense, a lot of things get said in that scene without words, like without being said, which is kind of a theme in the book. But it's low-key one of my favorite scenes of the whole story. I feel like it's a very pivotal moment for a lot of characters. And like, it was very difficult for me to write that. And Jessie, like, you killed it. Like, you nailed that scene. It was so good. I was like paused it and I was just like, yes.
Yeah. It was a really good scene for all the reasons that you just said. And I forgot about it until now. Because again, Jerry was just like, yeah, telling it like it is, but not quite. Whereas he has this way of calling out these characters in ways that they can respond to and actually like see themselves like sort of for the first time, like completely. Yeah, it was really good.
I know we're in the paper fortune teller question numbers, but I have to ask, how long did it take you start to finish writing this book? And it like from starting first draft to like being done with it, published it?
This is like embarrassing to admit and not a feat that is repeatable, but it took me about 5.5 weeks to write it start to finish.
And
Yeah.
Jessie, how long did it take you to narrate, like from like the beginning to the end of
Let's see,
of narrating this?
I sort of have, by that time I'd fallen into a rhythm of basically doing like 8 to 10 hour books in about a 2-week span, if I remember correctly. But if there's other stuff going on, then it's kind of hard to gauge, and I don't remember exactly for this book. But basically, I aim to get an hour of finished audio done per day. Estimates are like, for every hour of finished audio, then you're spending 3 hours in the booth and like, I don't know, 2 hours editing or something like that. Like it's a lot goes into 1 hour production of audio. So if I have nothing else really going on, then it would probably take me about 2 weeks.
That is fascinating. I can't even fathom the process that goes behind either of parts of like the writing part, the narrating part. Like it blows my mind and it's so impressive. All right. So last little bit of the show is just for fun, is a entertain me with a nostalgic game part of the show. And you've already indulged me with Would You Rather and Never Have I Ever. But would you play a game of MASH with me? Did you play MASH growing up?
Yeah.
Okay.
No.
My kids still play it.
Okay, so MASH, Alex, and anyone who's watching who's never played MASH, I thought everyone just played MASH and didn't pay attention in school, but I've learned lately that there are people who've never played MASH. And it is a way that you will predict your future. As young people, we would put like your crushes down for like your future husbands, how many kids you'd have, house you'd live in, etc. We're going to do it a little different. Ours has a bookish twist to it because I can't do anything easy and normal. And so we are going to be predicting your next bestseller. We're going to plot it for you. Even though you're a pantser, we're going to plot it. And this is all hypothetical and just being silly. You don't really have to write this off. Even though I will say the last time I did this with an author, they loved it and they ended up writing a book using the names, and it was very exciting.
Really?
No pressure. And then I want to hear Jesse's layer in on how that would go narrating whatever this concoction is we come up with. So since there's 3 of us, for each category, we'll each come up with one answer for each category. And then at the end, Alex, you'll see the very scientific way that I will slash until we get one left for each column to come up with our plot. It'll all make sense in the end. You just have to trust this process. It's scientifically proven. So MASH stands for mansion, apartment, shack, or house. And our categories are going to be main male character, female main character, their careers, kids, tropes, and we're just going to have fun with it. Okay, are you ready?
Yes. I'm
Main
very
male
interested.
character names. So you have to come up, each of us has to come up with one main male character name. I'll let you go first, Alex.
Sean.
Sean. Sean related to Shane? No.
Didn't even think of that.
Okay, Jesse.
Biff.
What'd you say?
Biff.
Okay, how do you spell that?
Biff.
Okay,
I'm trying to give us some variety.
love it. I'm gonna say I like the unisex names because Jordan. I'm gonna say Logan. That can be a boy or a girl name. And then female main character name.
Michelle.
Rosie.
Rosie. I'm gonna put Jordan. I'm gonna use my name in every single mash I put with an author until my name makes it in a book. So there we go. Jordan.
Good plan.
And I have to now, I wonder, Alex, how did you come up with the names for them bones? Like, did you Google names? Did you just have them come to you? Like, how did you come up with the names you used?
Shane Mathers is actually a person I met when I was Lainey's age. I had an encounter with a guy one time, like in a plaza that actually exists, that whole meet cute scene was set in. Obviously, that's not what happened.
Right.
But it was just one of those fleeting encounters you have with a person that you never forget. And his name was Shane Mathers, and he's kind of who I like based the whole character around.
I love it.
Yeah.
Have you looked him up
What
since?
about the name Lainey?
Oh,
Where did you get that from?
Lainey? I don't know. That one just came to me, I guess.
One of
It
my
seemed-
favorite movie characters from a 90s movie is named Lainey, and I was hoping you would say that. I'm even wearing it on my shirt. She's All That, where the She's All Books name comes from, Lainey Boggs, and I was like, Lainey. Yeah. So
I
I'll just
haven't
tell
read
myself that story, and you can keep the truth to yourself.
it.
All right. Main male character.
Stockbroker.
A surfing instructor.
Would you say?
A surfing instructor.
I love that. I will say a dentist. I have no idea. That sounds to me like one of the worst jobs. And I mean, it's amazing. I could not look inside mouths all day. I would lose my mind. Okay, female main character's job.
Dance instructor.
Okay.
Firefighter.
And if any dentists are watching, I appreciate you and love you and thank you for all you do. I applaud you. And I will say for the female main character, I'm going to say teacher. I just had to change pens because that one just died on me. Right. And then number of kids. And 0 is totally fine.
I'll say 0.
Okay. I'll say 1. And the last one is tropes. So each of us can pick a trope for this one.
What about he falls first, she falls harder?
Okay. Love that.
Black cat, golden retriever.
I had a feeling you were going to say something like that. And I will say second chance. All right. So now that we have, I can't write and talk. Now that we have our full mapped out of choices, I am going to start drawing my spiral. This is the scientific part, Alex, that you'll learn. I'm going to start drawing a spiral until you tell me to stop. And the points of intersection is what is going to tell me how many numbers to count. And I'll start slashing until we're left with one in each category. So either one of you can tell me when to stop. I'm going to start now, and I'll just wait until somebody tells me to stop.
Stop.
Okay. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. While I'm doing this, if there's anything upcoming, like signings or events or just anything you want to announce, the floor is open. I'm going to be counting and slashing and getting us our plot. So I'll open it to the two of you. And if you have nothing, I can do the fast forward squiggly thing through this part. So your call.
Jessie, what are you working on right now?
I am working on a vampire romance called Vengeance and Venom. It's pretty fun. I'm trying to remember her name. I think it's Kiri Taylor. Don't quote me on that. I just got it. I just auditioned for it a couple weeks ago, and so that one is she has a January 21st release date for that one. So I'm trying to get on that. And it's fun. And then I'm prepping a book for Penguin Random House under my other name. that's yeah, that was really exciting. I auditioned for that one, and yeah, I'm going to be in studio. They're going to be directing me. It is in the studio that apparently, if the website is to be believed, that Drake and Prince also recorded in.
This is so exciting. I'm
Yeah.
so excited for you.
Yeah, that feels so that's going to happen first week of January.
That's so awesome. I
Yeah.
keep telling people, I'm like, Jesse's it. She's going to make it so, so huge. She's already making it huge. And you better keep the rate that I got when I did the first
Yes.
book.
I'm going to grandfather your rate. Don't worry. But I want to know what you're working on.
Yeah. I am working on something new, and it is really exciting. I've been really struggling with Pretty Noose, which is the second installment. So I've parked it to take a break because it's almost there. It's like 85% there. So I was watching the Mike Tyson fight. And I love boxing. I have always loved boxing. And this entire story just hit me smack in the side of the head. Same as Them Bones. It was just like, boom,
Nice.
here it is. So I have started working on a 90s, like very early 90s boxing trilogy. Yeah, and I'm really excited about it. So 3 books, different main characters for each book, but one character who sort of overarches all 3. And it's like super cool because it's getting to like work some of the like boxing history of that era in. So that was like when women's boxing became sanctioned in the US. So my second book is like going to be sort of centering around a female boxer and a coach. And I'm just like super living for it right now. Sports romance is not what I thought I would ever write. And let me tell you, I'm having so much fun writing sports romance.
Nice.
Sounds amazing. I was literally just talking with my book club about how we were like, we just need to find a boxing romance like book. And so now we're just gonna wait, and I'm gonna tell them after we're done recording this that I found our next book. It's just not out yet, but we'll have it soon. Yes.
I think it's going to be cool. Like it's a trilogy that I think there'll be something for everyone because I'm doing 3 different main characters instead of like focusing on one for the whole series. So there'll be characters that weave in and out. But yeah, I'm like super jazzed about it. My fingers are tingling. I really need to be able to do this full time.
Yes.
Yes, you do.
We need you to be able to do this full time. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is amazing. I love how like it just hits you. Like you just like have it pop into your head and then you're like, let me run with it. That is impressive.
Yeah, and I'm really really excited to do an audiobook project for this because I think for this one when it's done and ready, I really actually want to do like a cast, which is like I'm over the moon excited about. So I actually already found somebody through like the literary writing circuit who competes in writing competitions and short stories who also does audiobook narration, but like he doesn't do audiobook narration. He wants to get into audiobook narration, but he's been like narrating flash fiction and he has a phenomenal voice and he's like my guy. Like I know he's my coach. Like he's the coach who's kind of like the linchpin of the series. And I've been like I'm just like so excited about it. I'm so excited about a project with that kind of scope to be able to like cast characters who I mean I'm not doing like massive, it's not a movie, but characters who are going to like have parts to play in more than just one book. So like my coach character will be in all 3 and I'm just like it's going to be really fun. I'm having a lot. You can probably tell I'm like really energized and excited about it.
Yes, it's making me extremely excited about it. And I have like nothing to go off of other than what you just shared. You're making me very excited.
Yeah. So
That
I
is
think it'll be
awesome.
really fun.
That is
And just
really exciting.
we need to chat.
That would be fun.
Well,
Multicast.
this isn't a boxing romance that we just discovered through MASH, but I will share it nonetheless just for shits and giggles. For MASH, we are in a mansion. So we started off with a bang. I have to say I only got one thing my choice that I made, and everything else was the 2 of you. So male main character's name is Biff.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew you'd do it.
Female main character is Rosie. You got that one as well. I got the main male character's job as a dentist. Go figure after what I said that would happen. And then the female main character's job as a firefighter. Zero kids involved. The trope is she falls first, he falls harder, and that is your next bestseller. So you're welcome. Your book that you just described sounds so much better than that. I'm so excited that that's the route you're going. You can table this one for a day where you have low inspiration.
I don't know. I'm rooting for them.
Obviously, the female firefighter is going to come save the dentist mansion who is on fire. She's going to think he's super charming. He's going to think she's great. It's like, it's all there.
You can see it. You can totally see it. See, that's why you're the writer and I am not. I'm just going to read it when you're done writing it. But I had so much fun chatting with both of you for this episode. Thank you for all of the goofy, well, it was just kind of fit perfectly with the 90s vibe, but thank you for entertaining me through all the nostalgic games and answering my bajillion questions that I had for the two of you. I hope that you'll come back after book 2 comes out, because dying for it, but not pressuring you for it. And I hope that everyone who listens or watches this episode runs and downloads the bones, whether it's the the ebook, the audio, the physical copy, whatever it is, you have to experience this book. It's so good. So thank you again for joining me. And thank you, Jessie, for being the first narrator who I've had on my podcast. I had fun writing questions for you, but also like learning about narrators, because I was like, I don't even know what to ask. But thank you so much for entertaining me and giving me your time. This was so fun. Right. Yes, and if you are watching this episode or listening to this episode, please leave a comment and let us know where Them Bones falls on your TBR, if you've read it, if you haven't added, if this is the first time you've heard of it. Let us know. I love seeing those comments, and spread the word with your friends. Share this book. If you know somebody who loves these tropes, or it sounds like right up a Book Bestie's alley, please let them know all about it. All right. Well, have a wonderful evening. And until next time, thanks for tuning in to this episode of She's All Books. All right, Book Besties. That's a wrap on this totally rad episode of She's All Books. If you're digging this vibe, don't be a square. Smash that subscribe button faster than you can say as if. Want to keep the convo going? Hit me up on social media at She's All Books. Drop a comment, share your fave book, or tell me what you want to hear next. I'm all ears. And hey, if you thought this episode was all that, spread the word. Tell your besties, your mom, even that cute barista at the local coffee shop. The more, the merrier. Stay tuned for the next episode, dropping Mondays at 6 a.m. Eastern Time. It's going to be a blast. Until then, keep it real and keep on reading. See ya.